Before we get started, fear not, this is a spoiler-free review. No spoilers here. I need to get that out of the way since the movie came out, what, 2 weeks ago for everyone outside the United States. I finally saw it. America. X-Men Apocalypse. So X-Men Apocalypse is the newest X-Men movie directed by Bryan Singer. In this one, the first mutant ever was a guy named En-Sabanur, and he was in ancient Egypt. He's been asleep, now he has awoken, he's gonna wreck some shit. So now he has 4 mutants with him who are the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, and the X-Men need to come together and stop him. I said spoiler free, so that's what you get right now. First of all, let's talk about what I liked in the movie. Oscar Isaac as Apocalypse was a pretty menacing dude. Goes to show you when a photo first comes out of a comic book villain and you hate it, don't jump the gun quite yet. I try to do that myself. I'm not always innocent of it. Sometimes I'm like, ah, fuck that shit. But I am trying to remember that these are the preliminary photos and they're not always going to illustrate what's going to happen in the movie or what it's going to look like in the movie. Because nothing about his look really bothered me. I thought he was pretty cool looking. One thing that did bother me about Apocalypse had nothing to do with Oscar Isaac. Physically speaking, he wasn't that big and menacing. There's a scene where he's standing next to all of his horsemen and he's the smallest one of them. That's kind of a problem when you're supposed to be the big baddie in this huge apocalypse saga of X-Men Apocalypse. Did I say apocalypse enough? Because that's what we're dealing with here. I had to back up and be like, couldn't you do the effect they did with Xerxes in 300? Just make him look like he's towering over everybody? I mean, shit, 15 years ago in Fellowship of the Ring, they did that with Aragorn and the Hobbits, or any of the humans in the Hobbits. They made them bigger than them, used camera tricks, used green screen. It can happen. So it just baffled me that his size wasn't more accommodating for how menacing he's supposed to be in this movie. Had some sick powers though. He can literally change the molecular composition of anything. It's like, oh, turn you to dust? All right, you're dust. Which does pose a problem for the concept of apocalypse and tension in this movie. You've seen that Apocalypse can literally take solid matter and turn it into dust. So anytime he doesn't turn any of the X-Men into dust when they're causing him problems, he's just being an idiot. And it's kind of a mixed bag for me, but anything that had to do with Magneto is where the feels are coming from. Some of the other characters, not as much as Magneto, but you're looking at Magneto and you're like, oh, the feels are happening in quite a few scenes. That being said, that is along with the build-up of the movie, and the build-up does take some time. There's some pacing issues in this movie. At first, you're like, all right, it's Apocalypse is past. Then you got Magneto. Then it's a big recruiting process. Mystique is looking for mutants. Apocalypse is looking for mutants. So many mutants to find, so little time, and it's an hour into the movie. Let's get shit going. And I get that X-Men movies are ultimately a showcase. There are so many X-Men in the comics that you want to see new ones in the new movies for sure. At this stage in the game, it gets a little convoluted when you want to include X-Men that we've already seen, be it some recast, and then including new X-Men. There are a lot of pieces on the board, some shine more than others. And Sophie Turner really impressed me as Jean Grey in this movie. I'm looking forward to more X-Men movies having Sophie Turner as Jean Grey. Whenever they recast somebody and have the young face, you're always like, is it gonna be? Oh yeah, Sophie Turner was really good. And Storm actually had an accent in this movie. Halle Berry kind of had it in the first one, kind of, and then it just went away. Now let's talk about Quicksilver. Quicksilver, once again, has another sweet-ass speed scene. It's great. It's like they knew that the first one, they were like, hey man, gotta do it again. So they do it again, and it was a cool ass scene. And he plays a larger role in this movie than he did in the last movie. I like that too. I mean, I just like Evan Peters as Quicksilver. One thing that really did bother me in this movie, it's a thing that fans have started to be like, hey, I don't like that, I don't like that. And finally, I'm on the boat of, yeah, all right, enough's enough. I don't like that shit either. It's Jennifer Lawrence as Mystique. It's not necessarily Jennifer Lawrence as Mystique, but what they're doing with Jennifer Lawrence as Mystique. It's like they know Jennifer Lawrence is Jennifer Lawrence's face, so they can't make it blue. Anytime they found a reason to have Mystique actually look like blue-faced Mystique, you know, mutant and proud, and that whole speech she gave in X-Men First Class, they found a reason to turn her back into Jennifer Lawrence. Because, you know, Jennifer Lawrence, she's in, baby, she's in. And now it's officially irritating me. But honestly, guys, I mean, the movie is a fun time. They have cool destructive shit. Apocalypse's scheme, I got where I'm like, yeah, that's bad news. Don't do that shit. X-Men, stop them. The stakes are high in this movie, as they should be. There's some solid fan service in this movie, too. If you know what you're looking at, you're like, oh, holy shit, that's awesome. One scene they actually spoiled in one of the trailers. I don't want to tell you what it is, but they spoiled it in the trailer. If they didn't show it in the trailer, it would have been so awesome to see for the first time just in this movie. So yeah, when you spoil your fan service in a trailer, it kind of defeats the point of fan service. X-Men Apocalypse, if I can put it frankly and simply, is like this. It's entertaining, but lacks a lot of the depth that X-Men Days of Future Past and X-Men First Class both had for me personally. Not that it doesn't have character depth in it, it's just all of it's more or less tied in with Magneto, and that's what you get. It does have some pacing issues, but never to the point where it pissed me off. I was entertained for most of this movie. I actually had to pee for the last half of the movie, didn't want to get up. That's more or less how I judge whether or not the movie is entertaining me and grabbing me, is whether or not I can call it and be like, yeah, gotta pee, it's fine. I'm out. Admittedly, I haven't seen X-Men 1 and 2 in many years, but as I remember it, X-Men First Class, Days of Future Past, X-Men 1 and X-Men 2 are all better than X-Men Apocalypse for me, but X-Men Apocalypse is still way better than X-Men Origins Wolverine and X-Men 3 for sure. Still a great time. I was entertained. If you're an X-Men movie fan, you should check it out. I will say X-Men Apocalypse is a good time. No alcohol required. And yeah, this weekend I'll have a spoiler talk for X-Men Apocalypse, all the things I really couldn't cover in this review because I'm like, I don't want to ruin that. I don't want to. Okay, this is generally what I think of it without spoiling shit for you. I'll cover in that video. But for right now, X-Men Apocalypse. Have you seen it? What did you think about it? Or what's your favorite and least favorite X-Men movies thus far? Whatever they are, whatever you think, comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more.